anderen YouTube-Videos habe ich, glaube ich, gesehen.
Ja.
Da waren sie im Urlaub.
In Sils, ja. Ah, das von Köln ist auch gut. Ich habe ja hier in Köln eine Lesung gemacht.
Ja.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here together with you. Good decision. I learned just in the last session that this obviously is the continuation of Master Han Shan's lecture or workshop. So they are still in the workshop, and I'm talking about the experience in top management. So it fits well together. And I'm glad to be here. You will see no charts. You will see just me. You will hear me. If you look at me and listen with deep awareness, the top issue of Hanshan, mindfulness or awareness, then we are linked together. Not only through the internet, but we are linked together. And my experience is becoming your experience. That's my intention. I don't want to transfer knowledge. I did it during my 30 business years, knowledge. I was a marketing freak. I don't want to teach you anything. My intention in this session is to recount my experience, and by doing so, lead you to your own experience. Our ego mind is very limited. We don't believe it. Hanshan said 20%, I said it's maybe 5 or 10%. We think. That's it. Our ego mind is limited. We experience much more than we know. And I'm telling you that. You're at the university, you learn knowledge. We experience much more than we know, says my friend Hans-Peter Dürr, the well-known quantum physicist, scholar of Heisenberg. And he should know better than I do. We experience much more than we know. You will hear nothing about tools, rules, what to do. Because these are completely dominated by our ego mind, which is the source of many problems and prevents you from developing your own capabilities. But you don't know that now. Recently, a McKinsey partner has had a look into my book, which is there. 9 books are free at the end of the lecture for the fastest, maybe German-capable students. At the end. And he wrote a nice paper at Amazon on my book. And he said, great book, but I missed on the first page the to-dos. If I would have put 8 to-dos on the first page, nobody would read my book. Because nobody has time to read the book. They just follow the to-dos or the rules. I don't want that. Typical ego mind attitudes aim for knowing more, doing more, working more, performing more, and having more. It's fine to harbor these attitudes, great. But if these ego-minded motivations are your only focus, I must point out that problems will occur along the way, and they may even weaken the achievement of your own personal development to reaching these targets, to harvest these targets. You don't know that yet. And so in participating in this ego-driven program, you have made a deal, which you don't know. I haven't known that in your age. In according to the death psychology of Carl Gustav Jung, we have made a deal. First, the more eager you are to know more, the more you will build up the anxiety that you are all of a sudden are not able to know something. the more eager you are to do more, the more you will build up anxiety, and all of a sudden you are not able to do it. Anxiety predicted on failure will develop. Third, as such, the more eager you are to have more, the more you will build up the anxiety to lose it. Rich people are afraid to lose all their cash. They want to keep it. The older they are, they keep it. Let me talk about experience. That's the mission of this meeting here. You will hope more what I call the less. Let it be. Let the hurry of your life be. Stop running through your life without any reflection from time to time. Running is fine, but not all the time. Stop sometimes. It's not a crash course here for fast success. It's impulse for a lifelong learning process. That's it. You can read my paper in 1 or 2 weeks on my website. You must not write it all what I tell you here. You can write it in the discussion. It's here. It's in German for those of you who can have that, but the paper is in English on my German website. What I'm going to tell you can be the start of a better career. It can also improve your personal life. If you don't completely understand what I'm talking about, it's okay. I'm not Heisenberg, but Heisenberg told the same stuff there, his scholars, when he talks about quantum physics. He said after a session, if you don't understand, it's great, wonderful. Go to the nature, or into a concert, or play piano, and all of a sudden, it will be clear. You know the message? I would not have understood such a speaker like I am today, but I was of your age. But if I would have been glad, I would have been glad if an older, much more experienced manager would have told me what I'm going to tell you today. I wouldn't have made so many mistakes. You are privileged. You can be very successful and happy. And it works together. Work and life. If you don't forget what I'm going to tell you, I will try to make it easy for you. But sometimes I speak with my words about things which you cannot describe with words. You can only experience. This is a problem. It's a dramatic misunderstanding in our world, which has achieved so much in science and technology and medicine and all that, when we still follow Descartes' cogito ergo sum. That's a long time ago. He said cogito ergo sum. I think, I be. It's only here and nothing else. This is a dramatic misunderstanding. When I'm guided only through my thinking and my emotional capabilities, this is not enough for being in our world. This is 10 to 20% only. It's therefore not the unity of body, soul, and mind, which we have seen on a chart at the Megatrend lecture. There was body, soul, and mind. In German we say Körper, Seele, Geist. We have one word. In English we have two words. Body, soul, and mind or spirit. Two different directions. And what the philosophers meant when they said you're the unity of body, soul, and mind, they mean spirit, not mind. It's a misunderstanding of Descartes' follower. It's not mind, it's spirit. That makes a big difference in your life. Albert Einstein said, through only logical thinking, we cannot achieve any knowledge about the world of experience. All knowledge about reality comes from experience and flows back to experience. What's my mission? Taking this into consideration. I'm now 71, and my professional career is almost over. I'm now an author or a speaker, or trying to talk to other people on these subjects. The rest of my business involvement is a job as chairman of a little company in Freiburg, Germany, they develop computer models and computer simulation models for complexity management. It's a great issue. The world is complex, is going to be much more complex. We can model the situation, we run simulation loops, and we find a result with the question, what if? It's a good business, and it will be a large business. That's what I do with the rest, 5–10% of my time. At any rate, I have now 20 years of experience in management by the golden wind. That's our headline, management by the golden wind. I want to help others along their own life journeys by sharing my own experiences from which they can learn and afterwards continue on their own journey. I don't want to tell what you should do. I tell you what I have done and my experience, and you can walk in my footsteps and then continue your own footsteps. My basic own experience is that we are not separate individuals. We are all connected to each other, and that makes a big difference. You are all young professionals, well prepared for a successful business career. Congratulations, I would like to change with you and start again. It's great, I like it. I have 3 kids there in your age. Wonderful. Obviously, after having decided to be here, you want to listen how to live in the golden wind. Obviously, there's a desire to live in the golden wind. It's some magic. You're right. We have everything in us. Master Hamchan chant that. We have everything in us. You must not look around and look to find something elsewhere to solve your problem. It's all in us. We can learn to be aware of the obstacles which block us. I was always thinking about why it's so difficult to pass on my message. We are all spinning tops, ladies and gentlemen. We turn and turn and turn. We turn around our ego. We are egocentric spinning tops. But when a disturbance comes from outside, it stops turning. You collapse. We are all spinning tops. We turn around our ego, leave it down there. I like to talk to fallen spinning tops. Why? Because as long as you turn fast, you don't believe me. You don't listen. If you fall down with a crisis, you're kicked out of the job, you're ill, you're getting divorced, or whatever, you are falling down spinning. And you will remember my spinning top of the day. That's my head. Leave it there. Here. Leave it here. That everybody can look at. Leave it here. I took it from a little baby. They are much smarter than we are. We are all spinning tops. We believe if we turn fast around our ego, we are stable. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an illusion. You have seen. As soon as an outside disturbance comes, we fall. We tumble over. As a result of our education, the center of gravity has moved up to our head. This is our education. And we are here with our center of gravity. That's the reason why we collapse so easily. We are here and not here. We are cephalopods, footed heads. We are no longer connected to our heart, our soul, our spirit, the divine dimension in us. Tim Schlenzig, ex-consultant, was always listening to Jack Johnson's song, I like it as well, You and Your Heart Feel So Far Apart. Do you know the song? He was listening to the song every morning when he was driving to McKinsey, most probably. He was a consultant. The world, and he said on his homepage, the world is turning faster and faster. We are running from one appointment to the next, one meeting, one more, then driving home, reading mails on the BlackBerry, fast stop in the gym, stress in the heavy traffic, squeezed out people, squeezed in subways, finally at home. Relax. Come on, relax. Well, manage the family, clearing up the home, ironing the laundry, cooking, watching TV, sleeping. Very often, you cannot sleep. And then the next day starts again from the beginning. When the outside world is turning faster, our inside world is, in our head, our body, our soul is turning faster as well. Thousands to-dos, 1,000 targets, 1,000 plans, 1,000 thoughts. But are all these important? And are all these yours? End of citation. He got the insight to change his life after a couple of years as a consultant. But even very successful top managers feel all of a sudden exhausted and are completely at a loss how to change. They are all in a kind of a trance without knowing it. Suffering a lot is a signal to wake up, even for the top guys. My first teacher often told me the following story. Once a very successful manager with a great reputation came to me and said, "Professor, please tell me what I am missing. I'm very healthy, I have no financial problems, I have nothing to apologize for, I have a so-called clean record, I'm well respected from my employees and all others. Many could envy me. Nevertheless, something is wrong in my life. In spite of all my privileges, I have an incomprehensible fear, and in spite of all my own rightness, I have feelings of sin and guilt. And inside of all my wealth, I have the feeling of darkness and emptiness." Durkheim said, "May I ask you what the main principle of your life is?" And the top manager said, "It's all about performance." Durkheim said, "You are a poor guy. It's all about performance." I'm not surprised what you told me. Do you really believe that performance is the most important thing in life? And that life has only to be focused on performance? What else is important exactly? Durkheim said, "Did you ever hear about the inner path, the inner growth, which the human being has to fulfill, as well as the outer path, the work in the world? Did you never hear about the inner growth as a condition for inner peace? And you are not in inner peace." With a disrespectful gesture, the manager said, "Do you mean something like religion or so?" My dear professor, we as top managers do not have any time for that kind of stuff. We cannot use it to manufacture our products and to achieve any leading position in the business. Forget it. Durkheim said, well, these people, very often busy, well-educated, conscientious and orderly, well-meaning people, are so greatly limited to a mania to be successful that they believe they cannot circumvent all their inwardness. The result is a high-performance animal who is, because of his one-sidedness, a caricature of that what a human being should be. A unit of body, soul, and spirit. If you want to paint such a human being, in the opening ceremony of the panel discussion, they were asked, if you paint an employee, how would it be? Very interesting question. If you would paint such a human being, like the top manager, he would have a giant head, a blown-up breast, mechanical limbs of steel, which are directed by a tenacious will. But in the middle, where the guiding center of soul and spirit should be, is a vacuum, which is sheltered by an anxious and easily vulnerable ego. The human being who corresponds with this picture remained inside a child, in spite of all what he knows, what he can do, and what he has achieved. Inside a child. Because the soul remained small and the spirit was blocked. The results are emptiness, guilt, and fear. These symptoms are occurring for people who seem to be on the top of their career. I know many. Others who aren't aware of this inside dilemma may admire his visible facade, but behind the facade is an unhappy human being whose suffering soul and lack of inner peace is the result of having remained an immature individual. Very often these individuals don't see any other possibility to keep a minimum of inner peace than to practice an iron self-discipline to keep the inner tensions under control. But the suppression of the tensions will not lead to any improvement. It begins with frustration, nervousness, anxiety, mood swings, and a lack of zest for life to follow. These inner problems are kept under control in business. But at home with the family members, for instance, they will suffer. And when the valve cannot keep the pressure anymore, explosions of impulsiveness will follow. And in many cases, burnout is the beginning of a depression or any other psychological illness. Burnout is all over in the media. For me, burnout is the implosion of the egocentric ego mind. And when the pressure from outside is increased and nothing inside has grown to keep the pressure, then you get burnout. So far, I did not read that in any newspaper, in any TV. They say if you have burnout, great, reduce the work, make a stop, go to a wellness farm, have yoga, eat nice food, and you recover, and start again. Poor people. They don't solve the deep problems of their burnout. Do you know how we can detect those people who are egocentric in the business world or in the private life? You can easily detect them. There is always someone else to blame. If you're in burnout, it's the company, the boss, colleagues, the globalization, I don't know. Second, they are easily hurt by criticism. Third, they need permanently recognition and reward. Do you know some people with these three examples? I know many. Do you know some such person? Maybe. Why do I tell you all that in length? I want to protect you on your way into a bright future of your business and your private life. You have two options. You wait until you are in deep trouble and then remember what I told you today. What a pity. Or you start tomorrow or even today to change. To be prepared for the future. You take this session as an impulse. Great. I would love it. Maybe you turn too fast. It's great. But sometimes you have to stop and reflect your life. I think it's not easy to get a great job. It's not easy to be promoted step by step. It's not easy to earn a lot of money. But it's much more difficult to get out of your job uninjured. You don't know that when you are hired by a company or when you are looking for a job. It's very difficult to get uninjured out of your previous job. According to the stress report last year, every fifth person feels himself overburdened and overstrained in his job. Every fifth person today. 43% complain about too much stress. In Germany, we had 52 million days off because of psychological illnesses last year. According to the Gallup Institute, 25% have mentally already cut the ties with their job. The consumption of psychopharmaceutical drugs is increasing double-digit, year by year, everywhere. The price we pay for a wrong life is very high. Work hard, party hard. is leading you directly into the collapse after years you are doing that. That's for sure. It's fun, it's great. Success is wonderful, you are awarded, it's great. You can have party every day on the weekends, I don't know when. I enjoyed it many years. Hanshan enjoyed it a lot of years. What is the paradigm shift which is now happening? Well, I mean, there's only one way to master this paradigm shift. When I started my career, everybody wanted to be number one in the company. Business, that was, period. Today, in your generation, according to my studies, we assume that 30 to 40% of the so-called Y generation have very different priorities and values. Of course, they want to have an interesting job and earn money. It's great. It's okay. But the work-life balance is important. We heard that today. They don't want to be the managers I described in the beginning of my paper. Free time is important. Fitness is important. Training and further education is important. Family is important. Friends are important. Parental leave is important. They are less materialistic oriented. Work ethic is important. They want to discover the meaning of life, and a good and fair working environment is indispensable, and so on. This is a paradigm shift. 50% of your colleagues 3-4 years ago said this is number one, 50%. Work-life balance. Try to find out how I could match that with this with the company I'm working for in the future. Work-life balance. This is a paradigm shift. The Y generation does not to work in a company where, and if you read newspapers, you read day by day, where ethic is a mere lip service, where they cannot develop their skills, where balance sheets are manipulated, where customers are cheated, and don't tell me this is not happening, where products are manufactured which harm people, animals, and the environment, where price fixing with competitors is common, you read very often, where the break of antitrust law is common, where bribery is common, where the representatives of the Workers' Council receive a special escort service, for instance in Brazil, you know what I mean? I don't talk about any company. Where in lower levels personal costs are cut, while extraordinary bonuses are paid to senior managers. We don't want that. Mobbing is common, where greed and egoism flourish, where the egoists are promoted. You may add more. Work-life balance is for me a terrible misleading expression. It's all over, work-life balance. Why? It includes the assumption that work and life are oppositions. To keep that in balance. Work is not life and life is not work. That's what they mean, this expression, work-life balance. Of course I know that many people live like that. The misunderstanding is the reason for many problems. Make your work part of your life, that's what I'm telling you. Work is as well life, and life is work, is part of your life. Life balance is a much better. You have to take care of your life balance, not of your work-life balance. And we heard today that it's mingled together. If you have an unbeloved job, then you talk always not to get SMS and phone calls and emails during the weekends and after 5 o'clock in the day. That's okay. I hate these discussions. But if you love your job, you don't care whether you communicate in the evening, in the night, or in the weekends, or during vacation. This is a big difference. And our friend from Hong Kong, he made it very clear in the morning. While the Europeans, and maybe the Americans, are discussing the wrong direction. Life balance is much better. When they say work-life balance, what many people mean? Work, okay, fine, and then life, what is it? Wellness? Chilling? Chilling and wellness will not save your souls. It will become boring after a couple of years, and you will nevertheless enter into problems, psychological problems. You work on a trick if you mean that your private life is a life for chilling, for wellness, for less work, for sports. It's great, but it's not only that. And you're working on a trick because you add to your spinning top a little basement and say, okay, if I relax on the weekend, I can better work on Monday. Great, wonderful. You work on a trick. You add a little base on your spinning top and say, okay, fine, it's stable. Yeah? It's stable. That's on Monday morning. It turns around the egocentric. Wonderful. But if the disturbance comes from outside, in spite of your basement, which you added to your wellness program, it's over. It's over. It's a trick. Managers are always managing the company and themselves according to their inner growth, where they stand. If nothing has developed, they are managing with a big ego. They're egocentric managers. They're egoists. And they take care that nobody's detecting them. But there are plenty. The more you grow inside, the less you are egocentric, the more compassion grows. And the company where that is growing, they're the winners of the future. I'm very sure. My own lesson to change. Until I was 45, I was a manager who was just working for the career, nothing else, and relaxed on the weekends. And I needed, obviously, a double crisis. My marriage failed, and unexpectedly, I lost my job as a top manager, almost at the same time. Bang, bang. At the beginning of the 80s, I visited therefore my teacher, my first teacher, Durkheim, I called him already. And his base knowledge is death psychology, Zen, and Christian mysticism. I was in a similar situation like the top manager which I cited in the beginning of the paper, but on top of that, my marriage was broken, I lost my job. He was successful and he was still married. I was in a deeper trouble. And my first teacher got me exactly in the situation as a manager where he had the experience how he can get me understanding what the change would be. There was a rose on his desk and he said, look to the rose. I looked to the rose, I looked to him. He said, no, look to the rose and nothing else. Decide as a top manager to do one thing in this moment and the next moment and nothing else. I looked to the rose. After 5 seconds, I looked out of the window. And he said, you want to be a top manager? You cannot do what you decided to do. You're so spoiled by outside influences. You're in deep trouble. He was 85. He stretched his arm and said, try to turn my arm down. He was just recovering after a heart attack. I was 95 kilos, young man. I tried to bring down his arm. I had no chance. No chance. He said, obviously, there is a power which you don't know. Your capabilities, where you're blocked with your ego mind, all your capabilities, is very, very limited. There's a power which you don't know yet. The Chinese call it qi. The Japanese say hara. For Durkheim, there are 3 presumptions to change your life. First, you must have an insight to change. You have a crisis. I must change. That's good. Second, you must experience how you change when you have the insight and practice. And third, exercise. These 3. Okay, I had the insight because of my crisis to urgently change my life. Secondly, Durkheim was leading me into these directions. These two experiences was leading me directly into Zen meditation. I studied it, and this was for me until today my way. There are hundreds of ways. You can decide what you want. The critical point is, if you practice any meditation way, it must follow the following principle. First, decide to start and do it day by day, without any escape. Practice awareness or mindfulness as door to inner growth. Focus. Let the focus be. Let everything be. No thoughts, no emotions, nothing. And experience the golden wind. As long as any method is following these rules, you're on the right way. It can be yoga, it can be Christian religion, it can be Zen meditation, it can be painting, it can be walking, hiking, dancing, with awareness. And then continue what I said. Then it's becoming your meditation, the dance or the nature. It must not be a meditation on the ground. That is golden wind. You open yourself what I call the golden wind. The golden wind in Buddhism is a metaphor for emptiness. And out of emptiness, all reality which we know and see and feel and hear and feel is coming into reality. We are today in a very interesting situation where the quantum physicists are coming to the same insight recognition as the mystics of all religions. It's a wonderful time. Both recognize the same space, the source out of which everything is developing as reality. Moment for moment. Always new, always unexpected. Hanshan, that's the same. Out of this emptiness. You may call it God. You may call it divine principle. You may call it Yahweh, Brahman. Other words for something that you cannot describe. The quantum physicists said they say it's a cooperative background field. Change your life. It's very simple, but not easy. It needs discipline day by day. The more you practice these ways, the more your inner growth is developing, and the more your center of gravity is moving down from your head into your belly, 3 centimeters below your neck. This is your center of power, which is generated Hara. My third toy, he has understood the lessons. The center of gravity was moved from the head down to the belly. I can kick it elsewhere. Always standing up. Don't forget it. Become children. That's what is meant. Become children. We are here. You should be a tumbler toy. When I'm waiting on the red light to cross the street, I feel very often that I'm not in my center, that I'm a little bit declining forwards to wait for the green light. Yeah? I'm starting like sports. After my 30 years of meditation, I feel it immediately. Then I go back into the center of my gravity, back into the vertical. The vertical is the male symbol in us. The horizontal is the female symbol. So if I increase in the vertical, I strengthen my male power. Then I can cross the street. It's fine, it's great, I like this. It's meditation. It's meditation by crossing the street. That's what I mean. Everywhere you can do that. Durkheim gave me a slap when I was standing there listening what he's talking. And immediately I was almost falling down because I was here, not here. 85 years he was, an old man. The With my meditation, I started, I began, I gave up, I started, I gave up. That's normal, that's human. But the more you practice any sort of meditation, you feel how you change. And others are feeling how you change. And others are making the experience that you treat them different. If you change, the whole world is changing. Is the same. Be the change you want to see the world change, said Mahatma Gandhi. It's the same. Only if you change others. If you're a leader or a manager in the company, if you don't change, how could your people change? By order? Oh, you're not in the military, right? Your own management by the golden wind is an essential condition to practice what I call management by the golden wind. From my point of view, this is the only valid and sustainable management style to master the paradigm shift. The only one, from my experience. Lead the people in your business for who you are responsible, because you are responsible for your people, into more inner growth. Then you're a great leader. The others who don't understand that, they are managers. You see the difference? Managers make other people work. Leaders let the inner growth develop in your people. They work by themselves. No need to tell them that. Difference between managers and leaders. They will be much more efficient, healthy, and happy. They don't care about emails during the weekends. No problem. You have great awards if you practice management by the golden wind. Serenity, joviality, peace, humor, courage, authenticity, and compassion. Great awards. Would you like be a strong manager in your life, in your business? You get 7 awards. It's no esoteric stuff what I'm talking here. I'm talking here to be a Shaolin monk or a samurai in business and in private life. If you practice any sort of meditation with these arguments, with these examples, you learn to focus on the moment, and your ego mind keeps it in mind. And if you can focus on the moment in business, it's much more power than all the rest. Like a Shaolin in business. They are not in business. It's too dangerous for the business. Samurai or Shaolin, they can cut the wood in a moment. They can throw a needle through the window glass. It's no joke. It's true. Work like a Shaolin. Life is only presence, is the only presence in this moment, moment for moment. This is life, and this is life balance. During meditation, you don't lose energy. You try to get rid of the blockades. You accumulate energy. This energy can be used in your business and in your private life. And you are linked to the universal energy, the key, chief power. Today, resilience is a very important word in psychology, or psychotherapy, to make the patients resilient against the stress and the mobbing and the burnouts and all. Resilience. With your personal program to admit your inner growth, you are automatically much more resilient to overcome the downturns in your life and to enjoy the upturns more deeply, more intensively. Your soul will not anymore suffer from the pressure during your business hours. Secondly, intuition. Here you talk a lot about innovation. Intuition, what is it? When I ask people who had a great idea, great intuition, where's your intuition coming from? They say, here. I said, no, not here. Intuition is not from thinking. Intuition comes from the Latin word intuere. And intuere means to turn inside. And when you turn inside, you're linked to the golden wind. And then you are transparent for a space, which are called golden wind, God, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, when you're in nature, under having showers, on the bicycle, in the concert, when you're dancing, you get intuition. You don't know where it is coming from. It's not important where it's coming from. It's coming. The problem which you have to solve for your company, your private life, has to be defined. That's for sure. Then you disappear out of the proper structure. Brainstorming will not help you. You're in the forest. You're somewhere. Bang! Intuition. And there are many Nobel Prize winners who talk about intuition when they get the breakthroughs, like Heisenberg on Helgoland Island, where on the lightning in the night he got the intuition about quantum physics. Many examples. Intuition is the award for you if you're in business. You're much more better than any brainstormer if you open yourself for intuition. After intuition is coming, then you have the choice to decide what you do with this intuition. You can keep on working, it's gone. You can inspirate it, then intuition becomes inspiration. These words are always mixed together. Intuition is the inflow. Inspiration is you take the intuition and inspire it, make it your own. And then your intellect comes. Intellegere comes from the Latin word to collect data. Your intellect is collecting the data to make an innovation. Intuition, inspiration, intellect, intelligence, innovation. Invention, innovation. That is the sequence of being successful. Second, third, I would like to apply a new expression which I call sustainable personal development. I combine sustainable management with personal management. I did not ever read that somewhere. Sustainable personal development. What is it? Sustainable development, says my friend Hans-Peter Dürr, the quantum physicist, is to let the living become more lively. This is sustainability. To let the living become more lively. This has a magic consequence. If you define sustainability like we do it if we harbor forests, you cut a tree and you plant a new tree. Everybody believes this is sustainable. It's not. It's to keep the status quo. It's even worse because you get a little tree and you cut a tall tree. No. Sustainability is to let the living become more lively. If you combine that with your personal management, how you treat your people, and somebody is coming into you to get an idea how to cooperate and solve problems, and you make it easy for your employee, that he feels how you as a boss, as a leader, make his living more lively. He's working like hell to get it done. It's no need to tell you have to do this. This is sustainable personal development followed by the golden wind. I stop here. The total paper is in 1 or 2 weeks on my website here. You can write it down. It's 50% what I told you today. The rest is then on the website. I stop here to have time for discussion. Thank you very much.
I've always wondered, this is something that has come into my mind a lot this year, like ego and how to avoid being, because I have a big ego, unfortunately, and I'm trying to reduce it. But why did the world become so with such a big ego? What made it like that? What point in history did we lose our true nature and became ego-centric society? Is that a word?
It started, what I said, cogito ergo sum, to make people understand if you think, it's your being. Then you are successful with your ego mind-driven capabilities and experiences in nature, in science, and medicine, and so on. So everybody believes if you have a big ego and I work against all the others and try to collaborate a little bit, that's it. That's the base of my career. Can be, but it will not last. I would like to make it very sure I have nothing against the big ego. I'm different from many people who talk about that you have to get rid of your ego. That's the Asian way of thinking. We in the Western world, and I'm in the Western world, you need your ego. From your third year on in your life, you try to build up your ego. Learn, practice, do, manage, get the words, and it's important to solve the problems in your life. Don't get rid of that. Work on your ego. But, now comes the point. If you follow that track, you're going to become egocentric. And if egocentric behavior is the only attitude, then you get a problem. It works against you. Ego is good, egocentric is bad. Your ego must be based, what you see with the spinning tops, with what death psychology said, with yourself. Or your ego with your chi, what I say, through a practice in a meditation way. Then your ego is connected as a whole and will never be in the future egocentric, greed, arrogance, and so on, is the result of an egocentric way. Compassion will grow, and then you are great leaders. Don't forget your ego, but understand that it has to be based on itself, on yourself, and you can develop yourself by any sort of meditation. This is a big difference. This is our Western understanding. Therefore, according to the differences, chemical differences, when Asian people understand what I tell you today, they leave their jobs normally and go to a monastery or retire and live only a monk-style life, or only in the family life with the spirit. Okay, in the Western world, we are, and I am of the opinion, if you have made this change, stay in your world on the marketplace, stay in your business life and private life, but work different, behave different, so you change all the people in the world. This is the difference in understanding between the Eastern world and the West. Please keep your big ego, but think that you have problems if you're egocentric.
Well, first of all, thank you for your presentation. On the one hand, I was really amazed by what you were saying, but on the other hand, I had a very strong kind of contradiction growing inside of me. It's my last year of study, and I'm kind of facing this challenge of starting a career. And what I see from my basically everyday experience is that we are facing so many formal criteria. For example, the HR people, they say that they want to see our personality and our values, but we can apply only online, and they are looking for our formal achievements. It's not enough just to be a passionate bright person. You must have several internships, you must have awards and things like this. And it becomes more and more competitive from year to year. So what is your perspective? How would you advise to be able to, on the one hand, have those positions that allow you to be successful professionally and to express yourself, but on the other hand, to avoid this trolling kind of lifestyle when you cannot focus on one thing and you cannot focus on inner development?
Continue what you do. Look for a great job. Look for a company where you think, well, they do a lot for me, I do a lot for them. Go for a high salary, build up your career. But parallel to that, start any sort of meditation. And don't talk about it. You are getting more autonomous. They talked about autonomous today. Automatically, you are getting more freedom. Don't talk in the company about it. You have many enemies over there, you tell them. Just enter any sort of meditation. If you are a yoga freak, do it, but not as an exercise, as a meditation day by day. It's wonderful. Or Zen, or prayers, or rituals, or dancing, or nature, or painting, or I don't know what. It must be a practice where you get over the ego-mind limit, get your experience. Experience comes from ex per ire in Latin. This means ex from outside, per through, ire walking inside. From outside, through a border, going inside. This is experience. From outside, it's the ego. The border is, the ego is your blocking, expanding your capabilities. Inside is yourself. Your divine principle is all there. It is coming automatically into your life when you practice any sort of meditation. Don't talk about it. Do what you want to do. Enter into a company, and you feel how you change. You will not lose so much energy after a while. And you will be much better, and they will notice that you are much better. Don't explain them why you're so much better. It's dangerous. Right? If you don't do that with 45, in the middle of your age, you get a burnout. I don't like that.
I disagree with that because, like you said...
Could you please stand up? Could we hear you better?
Yeah, hi. I think I disagree, or something was crumbling into my stomach when you said that, because you said it's dangerous to tell other people. And so it seems to be like the student in the starting panel said that you guys go to business schools to be tailored to corporate machines, so to say, and that scares me very much because you're super clever, interconnected, great individuals, and you put yourself in such a narrow field, you know. And when you say, especially when you start your career as a very young person, and it feels to me like she needs to secretly meditate, you know, and have her secret, because it's an environment that doesn't value that.
It's trying to be a secret. Don't talk about it.
If I don't talk about things, it's a secret, isn't it?
If you meditate, you will meet other people who meditate as well, and then you grow in network.
Yeah, I think.
But there are so many opponents in the companies with the old economy, with one-sided managers. They don't like it. Why? Because they know if you're on that track, you are more and more independent as an individual, and will not always follow what they tell you. They don't like it. And the Christian church and the religion, they didn't like what the mysticists told the people, to get independent and free, what Jesus wanted to tell everybody. They went, so we here in Rome, we are the center, we tell you what you have to do.
Yeah.
Very simple. Yeah.
That's okay. It's just, you know, just especially for a person, you know, starting a career, putting her into this environment is just pretty hard. In my experience, I could only change and develop because I got positive feedback. I was working in sustainable companies, in smaller entrepreneurial environments.
There are many.
I got feedback from people who were on the same track, and then I grew. I think it's pretty much hard to do this in a totally, you know, enemy environment. Somehow that was my feeling about that.
But there are many companies, mostly small and medium-sized companies. I have read recently an article in Focus here in German newspaper, German journal, that the founder of Kyocera, he was in the Golden Ring when he was 27. And all of a sudden, he was ill, I think, and he talked to employees, and he would put a burden on the employees, and paying cuts and all that, and he was feeling pressure from the employees, and he said, I will never succeed as a founder if I don't change my life. And he was very close to Zen Buddhism. He changed it completely. And what I learned in this article, this was a big, large company where this spirit of Golden Wind was growing. If you have to go into another company, just do it. Make your experience. Meditate separately and feel how you feel it here as a gut feeling, if it's good for you or not good for you. Never forget when you not are able to make a decision what to do in business or private life. First ask you, will that bring me my inner peace? Will it hurt other people and me? 2 questions. Then, if you give the answers, you will find the right decision what to do. If you're in a company and you don't find your inner peace, you will leave the company anyway, or they will kick you out. Yeah?
With ego, do you refer to know yourself and reach your potential? Is that terminology you want to say when you talk about ego?
Would you repeat it?
No,
Would you repeat it?
my question is, your definition of ego is to reach your potential.
No.
What's your definition?
The definition of the ego, and that's not me, that's psychology, is until you are 2-3 years old, you're all together as a whole. Then the conditioning starts with your parents to think dualistic and behave dualistic. Dark, light, hungry, not hungry, nice, bad. This is ego. You build up your ego by thinking and doing dualistic things. And you need that to survive here. Ego means you strive for knowing more, doing more, having more, keep it. This is ego. Your ego, you build up your ego here in the world. What is your last name?
Mador.
Mador. Mador is your ego. What is your first name?
Regalo. Regalo.
Regalo
Yeah.
is your self. This is your inner side. And the problem is how your inner side, your first name, is coming through the border to your last name, which is your ego. This is a lesson of your life.
What we have to do to survive in the work hard, party hard environment you mentioned. I think having 2 big elbows and a well-trained liver cannot be the solution.
How to survive there? Wait until you collapse. Work hard is not a problem if you're in your middle. You can work much more, like Charlie. Party hard is a different thing. It's entertainment, you waste time, it's fine, but not all the time. Use your free time for following a meditation way, for instance, or listening music, or playing piano, or dance, or go to the nature. That's good for you. You can enjoy wellness, all that, but not always. Bring it together into a life balance. Working, wellness, and a meditation way to let your inner self grow. That's life balance. Then work is life. You don't need a work-life balance when you look for 5 o'clock weekends and vacations. You don't need it. You can work much harder because you don't lose so much energy by always doing that what your ego is telling you. He kicked me in my ass. I'm now fighting him. You waste energy. There's no need. That's what I mean. Party hard is fine, but not always. Working hard is great. Work hard for a great idea. There are many companies with great ideas. This was very important in the panel in the morning. This was number 1 when they asked, what do you mean, what they should aim for in the company? A meaningful job. Sense of life in the job I do. I wouldn't produce any military stuff. Or there are so many companies producing, manufacturing a lot of things which are really great for human beings, for the environment and all that. You have the choice to select what you want to do. And if you are successful, big party. Next day, hard work. But not together, you mean? Know what I mean? Okay? There anybody else? You're not you.
The question is, according to your suggestion, your advice to that lady, it seems that you suggested that keep doing what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
It's something like that. I can't put it that way, that keep doing what you do because the society is already like this and you can't make any changes, so just keep doing. And on one hand, keep doing it. On the other hand, you do your meditation or the purifying process by yourself. And you mentioned that meditation can change others. Others can feel your changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I really doubt that because my parents make one change. Because even I talked to them, I did myself progress, especially my inner promotion or updates. But they may not understand. So, okay, how can you, or do you have any
Well,
suggestions?
leave them doing what they do. But if they're on that track and it may harm you, you're not anymore injured by wrong behavior of parents, enemies, friends, and all that. You know what I mean? You're getting more independent. You should not go around and tell everybody, now I know what's great. Erhard Meyer-Galow talked about the golden wind. Everybody has to follow the golden wind. Some follow, some listen, some change, and some not. But there are more and more people, and especially in your generation, who understand what I mean. When I was in a retreat 20, 30 years ago, in a Zen meditation retreat, there were 80% female, all and men, the rest men, all between 45 and 70 and 80. Now, a lot of young people, 50% male, 50% female. It's changing. And this is the hope for the future. Because what we achieved so far by our mentally, materialistic picture, the mess you can read every day in the newspapers. And that's going to change. And those companies, those individuals who are understanding that, they will be the winners. I had a meeting recently with a little startup company in Germany because I had I made a foundation, I founded a foundation last year for sustainable chemistry in the market. A lady from Bayer Pharma who found a new drug against thrombosis, which you can use orally. Normally you need injections. This is very dangerous. And she was really fighting internally what she had in mind. It was a great story. And by looking or talking to other people who was acquiring for the foundation and for the trust, I visited a company in Heidelberg, a startup company. They are market leader for their knowledge and their know-how during the last 10 years. It took 10 years. And I said to the manager, he was number 2 in our ranking, what was your greatest mistake? And he said, the greatest mistake was our stock option plan. I said, why? Yeah, you know, he said, we need people who don't go for these financials, who like to be independent and free, who don't want bosses to tell them what they have to do, and creativity, innovation, intuition, inspiration, innovation, and so on, and that's our business. I started this program, but nobody signed it. So I had to stop it, and this was very costly. They didn't like it anymore. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, nobody would believe that. Where we all started our stock option. There's something else what makes those people work successfully in this company. That's change. Wir sind mal mit der Zeit.
Eigentlich schon drüber.
Aha. Ich habe noch keine rote Karte gesehen.
Oh, but we don't get off track. I'm a little confused because I feel the ego is unnatural. It's one of the biggest lies that modern society wants to put on us, and that it separates us from the oneness of the universe. So that's why I'm really surprised that you say that I should not eliminate my ego, while I feel that the ego is a way of enslaving me and not making me happy and free. So that's why when you say that I get into conflict. How can you do both things? And I understand that maybe what you're trying to say is to have some balance in that. Between
I make it very easy to take it as a lesson for you when you're now going to other lectures or going home. When we are only focusing on our ego mind, we are like fishes in a very little aquarium. We believe this is our world, which we build up from 3 years old until now. This is our world. We swim, and here's a wall, a window, and here, that's it. Great. And they don't know, these egocentric fishes, that the aquarium is standing in an ocean. Because they can look through the window, and they see the ocean. And they are blocking against the window. But they don't know how to get out. So, that your capabilities outside your ego restrictions is much wider than your ego in the base. Get out of your aquarium as a little goldfish. This is a lesson for your life. And then you're in the ocean. It takes some years. It takes until maybe the rest of your life. One thing is clear. If you talk to people who were almost dead and came back, what they experienced was enlightenment. They don't want to come back onto earth. Enlightenment. So obviously, if you are egocentric in all our life, when we die, we are in a channel with a white light and we are on the way to be enlightened. Great. Why should we wait until we die? We can be enlightened now. I didn't want to use this word because this is a little bit spiritual. But that's the truth. Our ego is fighting against it. As soon as you start meditation, your ego is saying, oh, don't do that. You could do it differently. When I started my meditation course, my first, near Würzburg in Germany,
When?
I was driving to my car 25 years ago with my car to the retreat. Look, when I passed Frankfurt, I got almost here. I had no feeling to get there. Then, all of a sudden, I saw Raststätte, gas station, with a restaurant. I stopped, I moved in the restaurant, I had 2 beers and 2 schnapps, 2 drinks. I was going to my car, driving back to my home, and my wife said, what the hell are you doing here? My ego told me, get out the exit, have a drink. Are you crazy? You're going to a monastery. Your ego will fight against it. Because if you are continuing your meditation, the ego and your dark brother, this is another thing. Everybody has a dark side. It's working on you to give up your meditation, because you're getting free of all that. Go to the exit, have a drink, work hard, party hard. Don't forget that.
Thank you. I think we need to cut here. And any further questions, we can discuss outside because we need to clear the room. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Meyer-Galow. Great.